Hail Varsity Radio Saturday morning show. Strap yourselves in. Here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt.
Y'all don't even know he was a virgin until he's 28, and now, roll tide.
And Mark Cranack.
Time has come for someone to put his foot down. And that foot is me.
Welcome to it. Weekend editions back with you. High noon. It's Nebraska. It's USC. It's on KFOR, KFORnow.com, where you stream. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Mark Cranack along here shortly as he's getting connected, and Justice Rhodey back at our KFOR studios. Elijah, if you're not watching on the stream, Hail Varsity YouTube or Twitter or KFOR Facebook or Twitter, it is the mother of all gorgeous California backdrop. So check out the stream. You're on some posh deck. Is this a Hollywood industry insider's view or what, Elijah? Tell us about the trip, man, before we get into some football as you pan around is that the San Fernando Valley, my friend? He is panning around, and he is frozen. I hear some birds.
I
chirping.
do not know.
There he goes.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the San Fernando Valley. We're north of Dodger Stadium. I can see Griffith Observatory off to my right. We are on a hill called Mount Washington. Not much of a mountain, if we're being honest with you. It's more like a large hill. You know how they call like the Appalachian Mountains, the mountains, and it's like these are just like hills. It's kind of how this is. Hilly area. Got the mountains off to my left. Dodger Stadium is somewhere kind of this way off to my right.
He's pointing to his right, folks.
Yeah. Not 100% sure where I am, but so far, LA has treated me right. This is a fantastic city. Traffic, I understand it. It is rough. I wouldn't say it's any worse than a lot of other big cities, though. It's just the rush hour lasts 22 hours a day. There's always traffic, but it's not like, from what I've seen so far, exceptionally bad. For a big city, it's about what you'd expect. I've really been enjoying LA. The weather is beautiful today. I know we talked about the wind yesterday. Not a hint of wind at all today, at least where I am, which is still a good 8 miles from the stadium. So really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic day of weather. And based on what I saw last night, what I saw yesterday, and what I'm already hearing on social media, the Big Red Invasion has started. There are plenty of Husker fans here in LA today, and I think it's going to be a home away from home.
That'll be key, right? Get the Nebraska fans up, get them cranked up, and let them be that 12th man on the road, a la South Bend, almost a quarter of a century ago. And you know what? Going to be a big ball game, a desperation game for two teams really trying to figure it out this deep into the year. USC was knocking on that playoff door, fellas, after LSU. Got stung at Michigan, got stung at Washington, rinse and repeat, right, for USC when it comes to fourth quarter leads and their talent level. They can play with anybody. They're up 14 points on Penn State and then couldn't close it. A good comeback against Wisconsin where they scored 18 unanswered and won that thing 28-10. But, you know, what USC team are you going to see? What Nebraska team are you going to see? Defensively, the talk has been Dana Holgerson. The talk has been about Dylan Raiola. Those two finding some rhythm, but it's really going to be about the running back. Marks, Woody Marks is fantastic. USC will no doubt lean on him today, or they should at least, with Maeva making his first start since the UNLV era. And we'll see what Nebraska does when it comes to tackling, when it comes to run defense, and can they make a guy starting for the first time in Maeva beat him? And it really comes down to these black shirts. Do they set the tone? How does Nebraska come out? And then what can you get offensively? We'll get our starting 5 shout-outs going. You're welcome to jump in the stream on Hail Varsity YouTube, KFOR, KFORnow.com, also streaming. A lot of folks have been waiting for this weekend edition. Elijah is on assignment out there. We'll have Mark Cranack along here momentarily. We'll check in with Brandon Vogel from counterread.com in about 20 minutes. And then Gary Sharp going to join us. He's on the road with UNO basketball. Sharpie will check in around 1 o'clock. The Iron Horse. We'll get a few minutes with him as we get you set. Elijah, your itinerary is got about 30 minutes with you before you head to the stadium. And then we'll be able to hopefully corral you right before you walk in to LA Coliseum.
Yeah.
So you got, I don't want to say harassed, but a little stink eye last night when you asked for ranch with your slice of pizza. Good for you ordering pizza out in LA. I thought you might do a little sushi. I thought maybe you head to Chinatown, get some Chinese cuisine. Maybe you were going to shuffle around and find a Dodger dog not far from where you're at. But no, you went with a slice of pie. How was it before we get to football?
It was good. It wasn't the type of like hole in the wall pizza spot that, I'd usually ask for ranch. It was a nicer spot that had pizza on the menu.
I got you.
I leaned into the joke on Twitter. I jokingly asked the waitress for ranch, and she kind of gave me a look, and I went, okay, this could be a tweet. And now it's gone everywhere. But no, the people out in LA have actually been extremely accommodating. No one's pulled a gun on me just yet. The search for an outlet yesterday was a little bit rough. I don't blame anybody here in LA for that. I've been pleasantly surprised by how Midwestern some of the people have been with in terms of being accommodating, being nice. And there are tons of Midwesterners out here. As I said yesterday, you can't walk 500 feet without running into somebody, and Husker Gear out here this weekend. So I think that's a good sign. But I've pleasantly enjoyed my time in LA. It's been nice people, nice weather. I don't know. There's still plenty of time for that to change. I think I've kind of stuck to the nice touristy areas. But I don't know. I'm not gonna say I can see myself living out here because Lord knows I can't afford it. Everything is like $500, but it's been nice out here. I really like it.
Yeah, they secretly despise you though, Elijah. That's the thing, is that they're very good. They're actors. They're very good at acting in LA.
Mark Cranack with us here on KFOR Now, and Hail Varsity StreamYard. How are you? Mark Cranack, air raid expert is what your title says this afternoon.
Yeah.
Good to have you, man. Big ball game.
Yeah, oh God, it's going to be huge. And by the way, a little late this time. Check this out. Anybody have an old Gmail that they just kind of don't clean out and ends up reaching max capacity and you can no longer receive? Oh, me neither. But this one guy I know did. So that's what happened. That thing. And so I'm like, oh my God, you got to send it to this other one. I'm just glad to hear from Elijah. Elijah is usually a little more communicative on the group texts. And I just had these visions of like, Elijah's on Venice Beach with a needle in his arm, isn't he? Like, this is where Midwestern boy chases his dreams, tries to go Hollywood, ends up turning to drugs, and it all falls apart. So I'm just glad that that's not the case. It's really good.
Do we refer to Elijah now as the nickname stuck? Is it just Hollywood? I mean, you've got the Hollywood stash, Hollywood Herbal.
I mean, the hills are right behind him. It appears.
I know.
Yeah, I already showed everybody else. I'll show you Cranack too.
Oh my goodness! Look at this guy up in the Hollywood Hills.
Beautiful.
Elijah has made it
beautiful.
Big. That is the thing. When you get to LA, there's a couple things when you descend into LA. First of all, right when you're flying in there, like you really think about the scourge of man. You're like, my God, we just completely ruined a beautiful part of the world. Like,
it's true. You're flying in and you're like, this city is way too big. Like the entire descent, you're flying over the entire city. You're like, how are we already like over this city? Like we're still at 30,000 feet and we're going into land. The place is way too big.
Yeah. You feel like you're going to land any second. You're like, no, you're still going. Like you're just flying over this concrete jungle of just like this. But I'll tell you what, you understand why people built there. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's stunning. The weather's fantastic. The scenery is terrific. The prices, not so much. But again, that's the scourge of man. We can't even help it. So like,
no, the biggest scourge of man I've been thinking about is like, man, on one hand, I get it. A beautiful place to live. On the other hand, we're draining the Colorado River just so people can like drink water here. Like, what are we doing? Or water their lawns or water their golf course. I'm like, it makes me just a little bit sad. But then I also look around at like the life out here and I go, I get it. It is nice. Like 65 degrees, no wind in November.
Year
I get
round.
it.
Yeah.
I want to play golf out there. Let's Let's get into some football. Elijah alive and well. Hollywood Herbal, as he is with us. Mark Kranak, Justice Rhodey, Chris Schmidt. Weekend edition of Hail Varsity, taking you till 2 o'clock. Don't forget, Real Red Reaction, 6:30 tonight on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Sound off on what you saw, how you're feeling. Hopefully, if you're a Nebraska fan, it's, today could be the day for Nebraska to get bowl eligible. It's the Dana Holgerson era. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks. Pretty excited about what he can do for the Big Red offense, and between probation and just underachievement, Lincoln Riley's not had a good week, and this is the first of a pretty rough 3-game stretch from a brand and helmet game. This thing checks all the boxes. Unfortunately, it's been 2 programs that have been suffering for a couple of decades. You fast forward, you have UCLA next week if you're USC, and UCLA came back down to earth a little bit last night up in Seattle. Then they end with Notre Dame, and you got a couple of choices here. You're either vying for a championship, some relevancy this time of year in college football, or you're going to spoil somebody's chance to vie for relevancy and be in the college football playoff. We'll get some shout outs here. Mike Corrigan checking in. Mike, thank you. Captain is here. The Maven is in. Brent checks in, says, let's go. Black Hills Brennan here. He's been waiting all week for you, Kranak. Says, can't wait for Kranak to come knock us on a positive soapbox.
Oh, I got plenty.
With some truth bomb that ultimately results in the ongoing demise of this team.
Yeah, definitely my fault, man. I totally.
Yeah. Justin is here. Good to have you. Bruce from Spearfish has checked in. The Real Matthew is here. Mr. Erickson in from South Dakota. Dion here.
We got a lot of South Dakota love, man. Do you think that's just from your days at Dakota State? Like, did you just kind of?
I don't know.
You just gain influence there? Is that what happened?
I don't know. Yeah, 3-Pud saying, where's the hat, Kranak? I was kind of taken aback as well. I do like the beard and short top crop you got going.
Thank you.
CK Cash 26.
I'm trying to get like Justice here, man. I'm trying to let my curls come in, a little ginger action. Yeah.
We are outnumbered today, Elijah. It's 2 gingers on the radio.
Well, Kranak spent
problematic.
If Kranak spent all that money on Bosley, he better show it off.
It did not. It's generic. It's actually generic Rogaine, but whatever. I'm saving 30%, getting the same non-results. It's amazing.
Kranak's bleeding from his ears right now. Yeah. Tiger Shark Diver is in. I thought Mark's head had to come with a hat. Your mama is in. And says, I slaughtered some black Angus last week at a cook-up, 7 24-ounce steaks, baked potatoes, sweet corn after the game. That sounds good. NASCAR Eric is here. Rule of the Day is in as well as we get more of our shout-outs on the stream. I don't know if he's got a shirt on or not, but Sexy Grinch crew here and here. He is part of the Elijah travel party. Walter from Philly, south of Philly, checks in. Good to have Walter. Mark is here. Houston Real Estate. So Google me. Gets an 8-year extension. Yeah, Sig got paid today. Good for him. JB is my dad. Says hello. Terry is in. Funky Giblets is here. Elijah's soup strainer checks in the stream as well. And we'll get more. Peyton in for the first time. Talking about healthcare out in L.A. His comment. Kranak, let's talk Elijah, let's talk Justice, let's talk here Nebraska and USC. And first and foremost, let's take a pulse here. Are we feeling good? Or are we feeling, oh no? I got a weird feeling today that I know I've picked against Nebraska, but I got a weird feeling that you're going to see an energized defense, but I think more importantly, you're going to see an energized some flow and rhythm. I think you're going to see, we're going to burn the tape if this is wrong, but you might see the best of Dylan Raiola for 4 quarters today, just because he'll get comfortable, presuming there's help for him, right? If it's still the same issue with execution and blocking and minimal run game, and he's got to go John Wayne, since you're in California, Elijah, and do it all on his own, then this thing could be a 17-point squeeze fest. If Nebraska can hang around and just, move the chains, hold on to the football, get after the quarterback and tackle well, and Dylan can just get back to being the guy that sees, throws, gets the ball out. Listen, SC's defense is 13 points better than it was a year ago, which is impressive, but it's still a defense that you can have some success against. The secondary is going to be missing a couple of starters. So have at it. Get the run game going, but let Dylan eat a little bit today.
I've been saying this for the past couple of days. I know the headlines are about the offense today, but I was talking with some Husker fans at a local establishment at Sunset at Santa Monica Beach last night. It was beautiful. Fantastic.
Listen to this guy.
I'll show you guys the pictures.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things I was saying is I know the headlines are about the Husker offense this week. My thought is, though, that it's the Husker defense that's going to tell me early if Nebraska is going to be able to hang around in this football game or not. We know what the Husker offense is. It's limited. I know you have a new play caller. I don't think they're going to magically turn the offense around in 1 week. They need to be marginally better today. It comes down to the defense, though. Like, if I'm the Husker coaching staff, I'm kicking off to USC first and sending my defense out there to set the tone. That's what I'm doing. If this Husker defense can get something going early, the team feeds off of that. Think about the Ohio State game. You get that stop on 4th down, the team feeds off of it. And then compare it to UCLA, where UCLA drives down the field on you and it's a home game. They take the crowd out of it. And you kind of have that oh no feeling as a Husker fan. And I'm sure that bleeds through to the team as well. It comes down to the defense for me. Yep, they go make a play early. I think Nebraska's going to hang around. I think the offense is going to feed off of that energy. I think there's going to be that feeling of, man, we made changes this week. We got Dana Holgorsen. There's good feelings around the football team. And now we've made a play early in this football game. All right, let's go play some ball. It comes down to the defense for me. If they're balling early, I think I feel really good about Nebraska's chances to go out there and get a win today, to go pull the upset. On the flip side, if Maeva comes out there and he springs a couple runs early, he hits a deep ball on you, he's got a cannon of an arm. Accuracy, I'm not sure, but man, he can throw a deep ball. Like, if he can get things going early and him coming off the bench can start feeling good about himself, I get really scared about Nebraska losing this game by 2 touchdowns. But if the defense can get a stop early, if the whole team can feed off of that energy, I like Nebraska's chances today. So the offense and the changes is going to make the headlines. To me, it comes down to the defense. Can they set the tone today? If they can, I think Nebraska can legitimately get a win.
There's a lot of chess match and coaching going on today between Lincoln Riley and Dana Holgorsen and Tony White. There are a lot of factors happening in this game that just weren't even the case a week ago, right? I mean, new quarterback for USC after going with the same guy all year.
Second best quarterback in the Big Ten, by the way. I mean, the guy was good. It wasn't his fault for 4 and 5.
No, he had to force some things, right? Little turnover prone. But, I mean, let's face it, too. Lincoln Riley is a premier offensive coordinator. I mean, that guy is excellent. Say what you want about his head coaching abilities. That's sort of jury's out a little bit. He seems to be having similar results to a lot of guys that have taken the USC job since Pete Carroll, to be honest, right? Just sort of underperforming and not having great defense, right? Like, that's kind of been their knock ever since Carroll left. What is somebody vacuuming? What is happening here? That is crazy.
I don't know where that's coming from, but it is.
There's a wood shop or a wood chipper somewhere down in the valley.
My goodness,
it's echoing.
Yeah,
I'll mute while you talk. Sorry about that.
Hollywood Herbal getting rid of the bodies over there with a wood chipper, bringing Midwest Fargo vibes to the Hollywood Hills. Listen, so you have Riley that's going to be matching wits with Tony White. You have an offense that's potent as hell, as Elijah alluded to. You have, basically a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, he's just shy of that right now, a couple hundred yards shy of it. He'll end up with 1,000 yards. Marks will by the end of the year. So solid back, probably top 5 in the Big Ten.
Pray by not the end of the night. He's at 800 right now.
Yeah. Well, right. And Nebraska's had this really disturbing trend that they need to snap, which we've talked about a few times here, which is quarterbacks have the games of their lives against Nebraska's defense. I mean, they're hitting 80+% in percentage wise when they throw the ball. You can't win like that. So I agree with Elijah about defensively. It's got to be the team that showed up and played against Ohio State. You know, you're probably not going to keep those guys off the board entirely. You know, minimum they're getting 17. I'm guessing minimum. More likely 20+, more likely close to 30. Nebraska's offense, on the other hand, while I don't think it's going to be a huge turnaround, I'm not super convinced of that, though. I'm not super convinced you won't see a big turnaround, because
I think you're going to see a big spark. I'm expecting points and moving the football. Maybe I'm an idiot. I just think it's going to be a breath of fresh air. There'll be a good feel in game. I stepped all over you, forgive me, but I expect the offense to be competent today.
So it's an offense that has clearly been lost for weeks, if not the entire season. I mean, the signs have been there the whole year, right? Nebraska has not put together a good offensive game the entire season. They haven't done it since Rule's been here. They haven't. So it's not a group that's entering with a lot of confidence. So are they resilient enough when and if there's an early pick or a pick six or a fumble or something, you know, they don't convert something that they should? Are they resilient enough to keep coming? I think what will happen, though, is things will get scaled back quite a bit. I'm sort of proud of like our collective here on Saturday mornings. We've been calling this for a while too. They're trying to do too much. They were crazy with personnel packages. I mean, on the same drives, you know, you would see a running back, you know, bust out a 12-yard gain, and then he's off the field. And then the next guy comes in. It's like, what? No, he's just getting warmed up. So there was weird rotations at running back. Receivers have struggled throughout the entire season for the most part. I expect some of that stuff to get simplified, and hopefully they can play faster as a result and simplify things for Dylan against a defense that's not that great.
It's Mark Cranack. Elijah Herbal is in L.A. Justice Rhodey in studio. Chris Schmidt. Weekend edition of Hail Varsity continues on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Brandon Vogel on the way here.
Brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
Bill talks about his experience with 3-day kitchen and bath.
We had 2 bathrooms. It was from the 1950s. You know, we didn't know what to expect. You know, we were a little skeptical that they could actually do this in that short a period of time. They did an amazing job. Brand new tub, shower, toilet, sinks, cabinetry, flooring, tile, you name it.
Are you happy with the finished product?
Very impressive, and we're just anxious to show it off to people now.
So you'd recommend 3-day kitchen and bath?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we can probably get a few more miles out of our kitchen, but you know, when the time comes to do that, we'll definitely call it back.
It's about time. 3 days or less at 3-day kitchen and bath.
But
do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen to
try to use a lot of different
smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry. Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry. Terry. Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Steve Carpet here to tell you about the softest, most stain-resistant carpet ever. True Soft from Stainmaster. Brand new at O Street Carpet, and it's so durable. We have it in stock, on sale, and ready to make your home beautiful for your holiday guests. You'll also find the best selection of wood floors, area rugs, ceramic tile, and vinyl. Think of us as O Street Carpet and Floor. We're locally owned, family owned, and always the best values. Remember O Street Carpet and Floor.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Total comfort, now with Carrier Cool Cash rebates. Call Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning to learn how an efficient home comfort system by Carrier can let you create a healthy, more comfortable indoor environment for your home and lifestyle. With up to $2,100 in Carrier Cool Cash rebates or special financing, explore what's possible with Carrier. Incentives will vary. Ask Wellman for details. Turn to the experts. Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning, your factory authorized.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, weekend editions here at Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Mark Cranack, Elijah Herbal is out in L.A. Justice Rhodey in studio. Can always stream KFOR, KFORnow.com. Brandon Vogel with us. Counterread, counterread.com. We'll take you up till 2 o'clock today, and then the Real Red Reaction Show on KFOR at 6:30. Slim Chickens powers that. Plenty of reaction. Vogues, good to spend some time with you this afternoon. Thanks for popping in. And, man, a lot of intrigue with this game. Two teams that need a W. And some juice, maybe some nervous excitement, some energy for Nebraska fans. About 20,000 of your favorites are going to be out on the West Coast, possibly. And I wanted to ask you this to get things kicked off. Dana's had 7, 10, 12 days to assess up close and personal, maybe longer from a distance, right down in Dallas. What can Nebraska be on offense? What do you think he's determined? All right, here's what they're good at. Here's the game plan. Here's how I'm going to call it. What do you foresee today at 3? I think you're muted,
Jr.
partner.
Sorry. Ja'Cory Barty Jr., its career high so far is 94 total yards from scrimmage. If he goes over that, I think that's a good sign for what Holgerson's already been able to do. I think it's a lot that. I mean, and Rule put it pretty plainly, which is kind of what I had expected too, before we even knew that Holgerson would have play calling duties, is like, identify your best players, boil this thing down to like 8, 10, 12 best plays, and just run them. Like another real key, I think, for seeing like, okay, has Holgerson made an impact to this point? How quickly is Dylan Raiola getting the ball out? So, like, I think a lot of that stuff on the edge, I mean, you could just broadly say, is the RPO game functional? Because for a lot of this season, it really hasn't been. So those are kind of all things that, like, yeah, without even running any of Holgerson's plays, and I would expect him, to have put in a couple, like slot receivers, RPO plays to the outside. Is Dylan Raiola, does he look more confident and just certain with the ball? Those would all be very good signs, I think, for Nebraska and give them a real shot in this game. And then those are things I think that Holgerson could legitimately impact even in the short time he's had.
Will he simplify things in terms of reads? Is that part of why Raiola held the ball a little too long? Were the progressions maybe in a different order? I've just seen some things with Holgerson, especially on mesh, where he's, kind of his overriding philosophy is start short, look long, right? If you get the ball, if the back's open by a couple yards, just get it to him right away. Just end of story. Don't look him off and go elsewhere. Work your way up. I mean, that alone, do you think stuff like that could help Raiola?
Maybe. I mean, I think it might be more so than kind of different plays, which I guess is kind of what you're saying, Mark, is like just having a different voice, maybe potentially say it in a different way. Because I mean, when you talk about mesh or like shallow cross, these plays that like every football team in the world runs, like Raiola had people open, like the ball just wasn't going there for whatever reason, and who knows exactly why that was, but Nebraska will run those same plays with Holgorsen. It just becomes a matter of, is how he said it, or did he like drill that point harder of like, hey, this is your first read, just take it. Like, I don't know, but I do think that's one area where you like if Nebraska just did better on those sorts of plays, things would look a whole lot better offensively, and Matt Rule's bold change of direction here late in the season would be kind of hailed as a success right away.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here.
Oh, go ahead.
Continue, Mark. Please go for it.
Well, I was just going to say it's hailing it as a success or not. What I'm trying to imagine is like, can it get worse? Right? I mean, like, and I don't mean that like rudely. I'm just saying, look at the production has flat out just not been there at all. It's been turnover heavy and touchdown deficient. That's what's been happening. So like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, that's a good point, particularly over these, over this 3-game losing streak. It's kind of where we came into the year at regarding the offense, right? It's like, well, it can't be worse than last year, right? It would be hard for Nebraska to be worse, like overall, depending on how you wanted to look at it, than it has been over the past 3 games. I mean, particularly when you look at kind of the quarterback play, 1 touchdown to 6 interceptions or whatever it is. I forget the exact number off the top of my head. And the run game is just, it's been kind of the same throughout. So yeah, I would agree. Like it would be hard to come out of today's game, and it's only 1 game, and be like, well, Holgorsen's decision was the wrong one. The offense looked drastically worse because there's just not that much room to go that direction.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here, a pregame edition Hail Varsity Radio, getting you counted down to Nebraska and USC. I will be out of here. I heard the Uber is here in 7 minutes.
Little
10:45 a.m. Uber. So I think this may be my last question for you, Vogues, before I make my way down to the stadium and then check back in with this show from outside the Coliseum. But
you may get there by halftime.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The traffic doesn't seem horrible right now based on what I'm seeing on the maps, but you never know. So we'll play that by ear. Anyway, Vogel, back to football, though, here for a second. The importance of running the football today. Obviously, with Dana Holgorsen, we talk about the air raid offense, mesh routes, sail concepts, all these things. Dylan Raiola, how's he going to fit? But USC, their defense has not done well stopping the run for years. This year, slightly better, but not a massive improvement there. How, in your eyes, does Nebraska run the football? Whenever you look at what they do well this year, what Holgorsen likes to do, how do they run the football, or do they run the football today?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, we've seen, Nebraska's most consistent plays, and unfortunately you can't build a run game around this, has been, kind of the jet sweeps, the little touch passes, the end arounds. Those are all big parts of like Holgorsen's scheme. So I would expect to see a slight uptick in those. It's part of why I identified, I think, Ja'Cory Barney as kind of a key litmus test for how it's going. I also wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Lloyd had a big game. Kind of out of nowhere. That's the other piece of this. It's just like choosing personnel. A different guy gets a different look at people. It's like, oh, that guy, I need to get him the ball 4 times or whatever it may be. So there's that piece of it. I mean, otherwise, I think the biggest way Nebraska runs the ball is if it's kind of just a cliche, but if the passing game looks a little bit better and you have some early success, you can open things up that way. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of different kind of run scheme from Nebraska, so it may all be pretty similar. But if you're, completing somewhere around 68, 70% of your throws, all of a sudden you're going to have more room because the book on Nebraska has been you pressure Raiola, but also even more than that, like you play with a heavy box because Nebraska hasn't been able to scare teams consistently enough on the outside or down the field. So can you add that piece of it and finally stop running into, a box where you're just outnumbered, where they've got more defenders than you've got blockers.
Vogel, thank you. I am hitting the road to the Coliseum. It's been a pleasure. I will check back in with you guys from outside the stadium whenever we arrive. But carry on. I'll give you my final thoughts on this game from outside the stadium here in roughly 45 minutes. But
there he is, Elijah Herbal.
Chase your dreams, buddy.
San Fernando Valley, the mother of all backdrops for the weekend edition of Hail Varsity Radio. Beautiful LA. Elijah is off to the Coliseum, and it's all good. Have fun with that 405, bud.
Hey, this is the chance. Nebraska can get bowl eligible, and I can break my 0 streak on road Husker games. I'm going to see my first one ever. We'll see.
All right. Elijah Herbal is signing off.
Yeah. My last one was 09 Missouri, Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's the last road victory.
You and Sue
in person. Yeah, Sue was great. Oh, DeJon Gomes was great. That was fantastic. It's great when they win. There's been some heartbreaks. There have been some absolute
Virginia Tech.
Oh, Virginia Tech. My God. Everybody had left. Like Virginia Tech fans left. They were just like, we are not getting anything on these guys. And then sure enough, oh, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
That was a 16-15 ball game and 5 field goals, Vogues, for one Alex Henry, which is problematic. You couldn't get into the end zone, unfortunately, that day for Nebraska.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little.
You made 5 field goals though, so
I get it, but it ended up burning you. It ended up burning you, is what I'm saying. Let's talk defense here for a minute. What do you think of Maeva? What do you think of Marks? What do you think of this USC offense against the Black Shirts?
Yeah, I mean, Marks is obviously a dangerous player, and it's the kind of player that USC tends to have that is just going to be a problem most of the time. The Maeva switch is interesting to me. It's not like USC was getting bad quarterback play. Moss, I think, ranked in the top 30 in terms of total QBR. Now, over their kind of losing streak here, he's hasn't been up to the standard he was early on, but still pretty accurate quarterback. With Maeva, I think you give up a little bit of accuracy potentially. At least Nebraska needs to make it that way. They're giving up 70% completions and losses this year, which is not good enough. But you gain something in, Maeva is a little bit more of kind of a pure playmaker. Like he can run. He's dangerous in the red zone in particular. But I mean, his career high for rushing yards in a game is 40. It's not like he runs a ton. The thing I think Nebraska has to worry about is he's a little bit more of a downfield threat than Moss was. So I think that's the trade-off that that USC is trying to make here. Is like, maybe we'll give up a little bit of accuracy. Hopefully the turnovers go away, and we get some more plays downfield. Because if you get that and you pair it with, a run game, which is always going to be structurally sound under Lincoln Riley, you got a chance to kind of boost your ceiling, I think, here over the last 3 games.
Let's get your LA KFOR traffic reports. 405 is clear. The 110, not so much, according to our viewers here.
Quick time out. Vogues, hang tight for us. We'll get some more thoughts. Brandon Vogel with his counter read. Hail Varsity Weekend Edition on KFOR, KFORnow.com.
Justice, get us a traffic sounder. Dang it. Yeah. Okay, so we got
Marry
hot
me
mic.
too. I
think we
do.
should-
There's a lot of
I think
planning.
we should keep the hot
thing
mic.
you should do is attend the Lincoln Wedding and
I don't know why we
Celebration
would turn 'em
Show
off.
Sunday, January 12th at the Cornhusker Marriott.
Brandon, I
downtown
appreciate the
Lincoln.
flannel.
Gather info, find inspiration.
That's
and
the.
collect ideas
Have you
for
seen the
new day,
Onion?
all in one place.
Man of
Register
Autumn
prizes and
emerges.
enjoy a style show
You seen that
like
article?
Bridal,
I
Complete
haven't
Weddings and
seen that one
Events,
yet.
Studio
It's so good.
SPS, and Super Saver Floral.
Clutching his
Lincoln
pumpkin
Wedding and
spice
Celebration
latte,
Show,
the
Sunday,
Duke of
January
Fall.
12th.
For free tickets,
There we
go to
Elite.
KFORnow.com.
Steve Carper here to tell you about the softest, most
I tell you what,
stain-resistant
the
carpet
Colorado
ever. True
game
soft
leading
from
right into this
Stainmaster.
Nebraska
Brand
one
new at O
is
Street Carpet, and it's
just
so
brutal.
durable. We have it in stock, on sale, and ready to make
Remember when
your home
Nebraska
beautiful for your
stomped
holiday
all-
guests. You'll also find the best selection of wood floors, area rugs, ceramic tile, and vinyl. Think of us as O Street Carpet and Floor. We're locally owned, family owned, and always the best values. Remember O Street Carpet and Floor. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Is it time to replace your AC? Call Bryant and save money in every way. Bryant provides you with solutions that save. Save big immediately with attractive rebates and save every day with lower operating costs. Most important though, the systems are selected to fit you. The right system, priced right, properly installed. That's the way Bryant works for you. How much can you save? Call for a free estimate. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Varsity, Chris Schmidt, Mark Kranak, and Brandon Vogel hanging out with us from Counterread, counterread.com. Justice Rhodey producing. Elijah is off to the L.A. Coliseum. Joined us here for most of this first hour. Real Red Reaction follows 6:30-ish on KFOR, KFORnow.com, powered by Slim Chickens. We'll be here to talk about it. What does Nebraska do today at USC? That elusive sixth win. Been searching all sorts of Novembers the last couple of years to get to it. The Dana Holgerson intrigue. Can the black shirts travel west? And, Lincoln Riley has been under a lot of fire. A little probation, a new quarterback, and massively underachieving this squad that looked playoff good post LSU to start the season. Can join us if you're bumping around town, 489-1240. To dial in, 800-825-5865. Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Twitter, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter, KFOR Facebook and Twitter, and KFORnow.com where we're streaming. Vogues, what are you firing up for dinner? Or I should say the old snack attack. What's going on food-wise ahead of the game? How are you going to enjoy this iconic clash of brands?
Well, for lunch, I had one of the greatest sandwiches available and most underappreciated of fried bologna. So That's what I got. Had a busy morning at the library with the young ones, so nothing too elaborate, but that's what I went with when I got home.
Will the Coliseum sound like a library from the USC faithful today?
No, that's not quite what I'm expecting. I mean, I expect a back and forth game. I think it kind of has to be that game for Nebraska. Like, I would be surprised, although I guess we saw it against Ohio State, which is better offense than this, but not drastically so. Like, I would be surprised to see a kind of defensive struggle. So a lot of this probably comes down to, can Nebraska and kind of reworked offense hold serve with this USC offense, and we'll see what happens. I kind of like their chances. It's a strange thing. I've never been to the stadium, so I don't really have a firsthand sense of the vibes there. But it's just a tense time for both programs. But as you kind of outlaid at the start, probably more tense for USC than it is for Nebraska. So they've got that going in their favor.
It's intense at midfield right now. If you're looking on social media, Luke Mullen from the Journal-Star tweeting out where, how Nebraska meets at midfield when they arrive at the stadium. Well, apparently some USC players unhappy with Nebraska's meeting at midfield, like they're putting a cigarette out or something in midfield on the SC. They're not, of course, but you're disrespecting our place, man.
Well, their own mascot stabs the logo before.
I know.
Game, so.
He does. He gets off Traveler the white horse, and he plunges the sword down right before kickoff. And he looks like a Roman legionnaire coming in to off somebody.
I'm pretty sure nobody has ever said that that their own mascot stabs their logo. That's just great. I love words. What a good day. My goodness. I'll tell you, as I know, it's perfect. Lincoln Riley, speaking of things things are pretty bad there right now. It's with Lincoln Riley. I mean, it's third year for him, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it year 3? I believe so. Yeah. And he's basically been
year 1 without his poached quarterback.
Yeah. So, and there have been talks too with the probation that they just got on. USC would have cause to fire him, meaning they don't have to pay his likely ludicrous buyout, which we don't know what it is because USC is a private school. They don't have to disclose that. But if his contract's like anybody else's, it's hefty. So that probation is actually right. Like that is kind of heated up the idea of, well, maybe we just fire this guy, because USC has no problems whatsoever with canning coaches, and they don't worry about what that means for continuity and what that means for rebuilds and whatever. They have a different sort of expectation level. It's very results based. And so the heat that he is under has come pretty quick. And that's what I think he has in common with Rule too, where, Rule couldn't do much wrong for a while, probably until that UCLA game, right? Until people started questioning it in Indiana, but then after UCLA, people are like, "Oh, what the hell are we doing? Like, what is going on?" And I'm not saying that Rule should be fired or anything like that, but those are two coaches that are feeling the heat. They don't look comfortable right now, and I do wonder if the move at quarterback, which move is more desperate? Nebraska bringing in Holgorsen, or Riley bringing in Maeva?
It's a tough. I mean, it's probably got to be Nebraska just because it's a bigger move. Mm-hmm. Although, to what I was talking about in the first part here, like, it's not like Moss was that bad, at least from what I was seeing, based on what we saw in the field. Like, who knows what was going on behind the scenes, and if that played into it, I'd be surprised if that was the case. But so probably Nebraska is. And I don't even know, like, if desperate is the right word, because I think big picture, Matt Rule gets a lot of credit for me for making this move at this point and saying basically what this is, assuming Holgerson stays on, or even if he doesn't, is in my mind, it's a little bit of an admission of well, we were wrong, or we couldn't get there with the, go all the way back to the very beginning, with this pro style offense, we're going to huddle, we have tight ends and fullbacks. That's all fine and great. You just have to play, you have to be Iowa. You have to play that elite level of defense, which Nebraska's come close to. But in today's football, you just got to have more points than that. And that's ultimately, I think, what this move signals to me for however it unfolds over the remaining 3 games.
Vogues, tell us about Counter Read. What are you working on? What's on the docket for today and beyond, partner?
Yeah, so check us out at counterread.com. It's twice weekly Substack from myself and Aaron Sorensen. We had our game day guide go up early this morning, and then we'll get our game day chat going here within about the next hour or so. That's for subscribers only, and usually ends up being pretty insightful and fun. So if you're a subscriber, head on over there, or if you want to be in the game day chat, become a subscriber. You can head to counterread.com. I'll have my kind of post-game thoughts again on Monday, kind of big picture Monday column. And then Thursdays for me are reserved for the game previews. So I'll only have 2 of those left for sure after this one. So getting down to the end of it. But that's kind of the week ahead for me.
Vogues, can't wait for it, bud. Appreciate you jumping on, and thanks for the insight today.
Thank you. My son told me when I came on to say Nebraska 40-12. I don't know if that was a score or penalty yards, but 40, that's what the 3-year-old told me.
40-12. I love it.
Or is that the year they get bowl eligible? Who knows?
Wow. All right. Hour 2 on the way. Brandon Vogel with us, Mark Cranack, Chris Schmidt, the Iron Horse coming up next hour.
You ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Be sure and call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technician will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Learn more at Viking.com.
You've got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
My father-in-law and my dad had both used handyman over the years. My husband was like, I can remember when I was a little kid, his dad had to pick up some parts and he was standing there and a man came in with a random something and he was describing this part that they needed. They're like, yep, we've got it, and went over and he brought it back and showed me. He's like, yeah, that's exactly the piece I need. We've experienced that. Always great attention, great care, great kindness, interest in you as a person and your project. We've replaced toilets and water heaters and water softeners, and he comes in, he'll say to them, this is what I'm looking at. He'll take him back to wherever it is. He looks at the different things, and then when you leave, you have every part you need. It's always been there. They're super handy. They know their information. They know their products. That is priceless.
Handyman Home Remodeling Center. For the very best in bathrooms, come to Handyman under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
Handyman.
Hot Oil and Propane has been proud to serve Nebraska communities for 50 years. Now they're excited to invite you to their new showroom at 625 West O Street in Lincoln, featuring a great lineup of grills and outdoor cooking options. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, a tailgater, camper, or backyard griller, you'll find the accessories and the cooking.
This is your station for local news.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Weekend edition, KFOR, KFORnow.com. Mark Cranack, Chris Schmidt. Elijah is off to the Coliseum. The Iron Horse with us, Gary Sharp, Sharpie, you're in Utah, is that right?
No, I'm in Las Vegas.
Okay, Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Same difference. Honestly,
Not-
similar values.
Not very
similar
far
values.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good enough. Good enough. How are we feeling about the moves that have been made, the opportunity in front of the Big Red? What do you think of this thing Saturday?
You had to do something. You did something. You're hoping that you get a bump, but I don't know. I think we all have realistic expectations of what to expect today. Here's what my expectation is that doesn't have anything to do with Dana Holgerson, is Nebraska does not deal with success very well. Everybody is counting them out. Now, I think that the line is too large, but I think Nebraska shows up today. So that's the reasonable expectation that has nothing to do with Dana Holgerson. But on offense, I do expect Nebraska to look more organized, have a plan, maybe not a ton of new wrinkles, but maybe a tweak on one or two things that you've seen. And I also think they will have plays today, pet plays, that get the quarterback comfortable with his feet, with his eyes, and just get him in rhythm, maybe some more quick game. But I actually think Nebraska will run the ball well today. I think both teams will run the ball well today. So that's kind of what I'm kind of looking forward to.
Gary, one thing that doesn't maybe get talked about a lot, and it's kind of understandable, is the play of the offensive line and therefore the coaching of the offensive line, which of course is Donovan Raiola, which is Dylan's uncle. Because there's been problems with just straight up. There have been problems with running the ball, and there have been problems with protection. And you can say that's Dylan holding on to it too much. You could say, hey, last year that was Corcoran not being good enough at left tackle or whatever. But how does that all play into all this too? How does the fact that the offensive line has been okay, but just okay, going on a couple of years now?
Weren't they supposed to be just okay this year?
Yeah.
They had a lot of experience, but that doesn't always translate to dominance.
Schmitty, exactly.
You can be experienced.
If offensive linemen are in college that long, there's a reason. Guys go to the NFL that play offensive line. They don't stick around for year 5 and 6 in college on the offensive line. So I think they've been kind of what they're supposed to be. Now, Ben Hart's been a disappointment. I thought he would pick up where he left off last year, but they're kind of hit or miss. But here's why I think that a different way of running the football will benefit this offensive line, because it's not an all Big Ten Joe Moore offensive line, but it's serviceable. Now, when Mazuka, if you go back to the last time Mazuka was playing regularly, Nebraska's offensive line running the football looked pretty good. But that's when Nebraska played their Super Bowl back in September. But here's a couple of things that just bug the crap out of me. And you can't combine an okay offensive line with okay running backs. It just doesn't work. So you need creativity in the run game. And what you were seeing is a lot of motion, like motion of a wide receiver into the formation, and that brings an extra defender. So all of a sudden you've got plus pressure that the guy on the offensive line has to block, or you keep a running back home. And there were times where they wouldn't keep a running back home. I think they will run it more out of 11 personnel, but I think to defense of the offensive line, Mazuka's regular absence, and then let's also be honest, a big injury that won't get talked about this year is Liebentritt. Because Nebraska had a legit fullback, and they weren't afraid to use him in short yardage situations. So it's been a hodgepodge. But if you look at Dana and his running, Holgo in his running, it's usually out of a spread formation. So, the splits are a little bit wider. The holes look a lot better. I don't know if it all of a sudden helps some guys' vision, but I think they will attempt to run the ball here in the last 3 games, then maybe running away from wanting to run the ball to establish something. Because the best friend that DR15 has, boys, is the running game.
Yeah.
It's not the OC. It's not his mom and dad or his sister that lives with him. It's the running game.
There's quite a bit of Dana Holgerson content out there, whether he's, speaking to a coach's clinic or whatever. And I'm sure all of us have dove into some of those things just to get a better sense of what he's all about. And it's little things that I learned about. I just didn't know because I'm not an offensive coordinator. I don't know these things, but like he explained what he likes to do out of the pistol, for instance, with having a back right behind, because that confuses the defense. They don't know what strong side versus weak side is.
Yeah.
Causes a little confusion that could buy you an extra couple yards, right? It's little things like that you're like, hopefully he makes it kind of simpler overall on Dylan, where you come to the line, and if it's an RPO situation, you're doing like Indiana does, and you're just counting, right? You're just counting. Are there this many guys? Okay, we're throwing. This many guys? We're running. That's simple. Nothing looked simple before. And if nothing else, do you expect that to change today to where it's just like more decisive? Whether or not it works is a different story, but just more decisive overall on offense.
Okay, so this is what I know, and the little bit that people that have watched the last 10 days are willing to share, is that the ball will not be in Dylan's hands for a long time, like an extended period of time. Like, I expect to see some quick game because you're going to help the quarterback and you're going to help the offensive line. Nebraska doesn't have wide receivers that can go and get those long developing routes. And Dylan holds the ball, and we've seen he's held the ball too long, and then that screws up the offensive line. So I think a little quick game. I'm excited, like, down the road to see what they can do with a quarterback like Dylan, and then Holgerson's input on who they need to go get in the portal to supplement the guys that are already on the roster or coming here. But I also think today, back to your point, Mark, and Schmitty and I have talked about this. Satterfield had a lot of plays. He was the Cheesecake Factory. Holgerson comes in, and he's got the Cane's menu because he's only got a couple of options, but there's a lot of combinations you can have. So I think that will benefit Nebraska across the board, that they're not going to try and – you have to call plays for what you have, not what you want. And I think that's the hole that Satterfield fell into. I think Holgerson, with his experience, will look at his personnel. He's at least had a week plus to see guys' strengths and weaknesses in person or on film. And then I think he'll be able to decide what to do.
Yeah. Gary Sharp with us, the Iron Horse, giving us a few minutes before he is off to basketball. Great job covering UNO with his work as play-by-play man.
By the way, I heard we almost had a fight at midfield.
Yeah, I was getting into the power of prayer here in a moment, and USC.
Trojans don't like prayer?
Yeah, then they brought the swords out. It got really gnarly.
No, then they brought the horse out?
The swords.
Yeah,
but then the sword came in the horse.
Yeah. How's Nebraska going to catch if they got their arms lopped off? This is not good. This is not good.
Run the ball.
Defense, Sharpie. What's Tony White's crew up against today, in your opinion, against Lincoln Riley, who no one likes him in LA this week?
No.
What
He's
are
in
you
trouble.
Expecting?
So I think this is okay. So let me go back to how I see USC. I think it's important for Nebraska. Nebraska will have a couple of new wrinkles that USC won't pick up right away. So when you have that advantage, and maybe it lasts a quarter and a half, you got to score some points. Okay, you got to be able to steal some points when you have a decided advantage, because the other side is trying to figure out exactly what you're doing. Now, Lincoln Riley has gone against Dana Holgerson, so there might be some things he recognizes, but Nebraska's probably going to do some things that you haven't seen on film, or they're going to execute a little bit better. So you got to steal some points along the way. I think with USC's whole makeup of offense, they've got a wild card as too. Nebraska has been able to look at UNLV film and some of the games that Maeva has appeared in. This seems like a desperate move. You can say Rule's move is desperate or whatever, but he had to make that move. I look at Lincoln Riley and I'm like, man, I don't think Miller Moss was killing him.
No.
But they make this move, and you got to make it pay off or you're in trouble. But I think I like what USC does running the football. I think they don't run it a lot, but when they do, they're really smart in running. And Marks is a really good running back. They don't have a ton of faith of late on their wide receivers, so they're going to try and establish the run game. And if Nebraska can't stop the run game, i.e. Indiana, UCLA, buckle up, boys and girls, because then it becomes that dink and dunk crap that Nebraska's really struggled with. But I think Tony White's defense, I think being a little bit healthier, it all comes down, can they get pressure on the quarterback? If they can't get pressure on the quarterback, you're in for a long day. I mean, that's just the bottom line of where Nebraska is defensively. But, man, Nebraska's defense has to play well. They need to get off this roller coaster that they've been on.
Is it a coincidence that Nebraska's production defensively and their struggles defensively, save for the Ohio State game, turned when Tommy Hill was hurt against Illinois? He was hurt, I guess, a little bit prior to that. Is that a coincidence? And do you think a healthy Tommy Hill creates a domino effect across that back end to make Nebraska a little more sealed up defensively than they have been.
I think that's part of it. I think Nebraska's safeties aren't very good, and we kind of knew that going in, but we were like,
Including
man,
Singleton?
Yeah, because I think Singleton is better in run support. I think he likes to play closer to the line of scrimmage. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad safety, but Buford has had a rough year. The thing that's happened in the back end is there is tape on these guys. And so teams that are scheming against Nebraska, and ironically, this will be the fourth straight opponent that's coming off a bye week that's played Nebraska. So they've been able to look at multiple games in depth, is they're exposing Nebraska's back end. They're realizing that Nebraska defensively in the back end, their eyes aren't very good. They get caught looking the wrong way, or they get caught giving up what they want to do. And good quarterbacks have been able to pick them apart. But also, I mean, everything has been kept kind of in front of them. But when they have stretched them, and I would say, like a guy against if you're going against Buford, take him deep. Singleton, take him deep. It's just been a hodgepodge. It's an area where we thought that would be a strength for Nebraska, and it hasn't been like for 9 games, hey, man, that is the group that we thought it would be. They are balling out. And that's kind of disappointing. But I also wonder of Tony White and John Butler, the call matching the protection or the coverage. At times it looked like it's been off, especially in the Ohio State game, where Ohio State, Chip Kelly did a good job of scheming up a couple plays and caught Gifford in the blender. But it just seems like at times they've been off on the back end to what the whole defensive call is. And I don't know if, it's an Evan Cooper effect. Coop was a really good coach. Maybe there's a transition in trying to learn everything with John Butler while he's learning this defense as well.
We don't talk about that a ton, by the way, with John Butler, defensive backs coach who came in as, defensive coordinator material from the Buffalo Bills after being their secondary coach for a while. He's held defensive coordinator jobs at high profile places before. Grizzled veteran guy. Is he not communicating well? Is that what we're hearing? Is he not communicating well with the secondary? What is it that is making it to where they're not performing as well as they did when Evan Cooper was here?
I don't know for a fact. It just you like if you watch the sideline, it just seems like it's not calm, and it just seems like it's not on the defensive sideline. When the defense is out there, it's not a calm sideline. And I watched it more against UCLA. Watched more of just the sideline, and I just think it's two guys who, maybe the verbiage has been different, and then also the bottom line. I think everybody thought Rule was alluding to offensive players when he said, you just got to go play and you got to make plays. I think he was talking about some defensive guys as well, that they need to make plays when they make, when they have an opportunity to make plays. But at the end of the day,
right?
Yeah. And he's, he's come a long way, but he's had opportunities to make plays, to make a game-changing play. But
he plays loose. He plays loose too.
There's also going to be an interesting transition when the season is over. Nebraska next year is going to be a lot faster, okay? And they won't have as many good locker room culture guys that when they go up against big-time athletes and big-time wide receivers get exposed a little bit. They're going to be a faster defense next year, and I can't wait to see that. But that doesn't make up for what's gone on in the back end. It's been inconsistent. And again, I thought that would be an area you really wouldn't have to worry about. You'd be okay with the defensive line and the back end. And then as the new linebackers got their feet wet, then that defense could evolve. Still a good defense, but they've been on a roller coaster for about 3 weeks, through the last 3 games in this losing streak. And if they don't play well, Nebraska doesn't play well.
By the way, little observation I just want to throw out there that may or may not be true. I'm just saying. I went down into the tunnel for the UCLA game. I always take my boy down there at halftime. I swear to God, Evan Cooper came out with the coaches. I swear to God, if it's not him, it is somebody who looks identical to him. Just saying. And I don't think that would be the strangest thing in the world for him to be there, not necessarily in an official capacity, not necessarily as a listed coach.
You're saying he came out on the field?
I am just saying, again, take this with
still
such
around.
a tiny. take this with such a grain of salt. This may not be, but immediately as he's walking out of the tunnel with another staff member who I don't know, he was sort of like a behind the scenes grad assistant or analyst or whatever. It wasn't one of the main position coaches, and I was just like, what? That's Evan Cooper. Like immediately in my brain, that was Evan Cooper. Might not be true, but I'm just saying that was an observation.
Well, they need to shore up. The front end's got to know what the back end's doing and vice versa and play as one unit. And it's not been that consistent, and it's disappointing because the guys that are the elder statesmen of this program have needed to perform better, and they haven't.
Yeah.
That's on the offensive line. That's in the secondary.
Yeah. I mean, outside of like consistently week in and week out, I mean, Ty Robinson's your MVP on defense.
That's it. Yeah.
I think Ja'Cory Barney's your MVP on offense. I think those are the two best players in your program right now, as we speak. And you take the field today against USC.
Gary Sharp with us, couple minutes here before he's got to bounce out. Appreciate the Iron Horse jumping in here on the weekend edition of Hail Varsity, KFOR, KFORnow.com. So we have talked defense. We've touched on Dana and rhythm and Dylan just getting the ball out. Lastly, special teams, Branch, SC can crank it up. I mean, he is an electric return guy. Does that punch Nebraska fan in the face today? You worried about special teams still?
I don't know. Isn't it wild? We haven't talked about special teams since UCLA. We've been focused on so many other things.
If you sweep it under the rug, it helps us all deal with it.
Yeah. Have we all just kind of like given up on special teams this year?
Things were feeling okay until the missed extra point. I mean,
dude,
this will be one of those games. So this is, but Branch won the Jet Award last year.
I know.
And then Mike Riley wouldn't let him come to Omaha to receive the award at the banquet because they were in the middle of spring football. Yeah, last second said you can't go to Omaha. Kind of sucked because I was excited to meet him.
He wanted to meet you too.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Buschini though is going to have a smart punting day. Is this going to be a big time, less yardage, more hang time? Because we've seen this when Nebraska's faced a pretty good punt returner, they don't make good decisions with the punt. The punt's going one way, the coverage is going the other way.
Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean earlier this year,
against
Indiana, there was a key one. Against Illinois. So I think Buschini has to be not only good, but he has to be smart in his punting. I don't know. This is the one game in a while, guys, I have no feel for. I think Nebraska will show up and their effort and their execution will be much better than UCLA. Doesn't guarantee they're going to win, but when they are counted out, it seems like they punch the clock and say, not so fast, my friends. You have no idea what you're going to get at USC. I think the first quarter is huge because USC has all this angst, as Schmitty was alluding to, is that they're like, screw Lincoln Riley. He just put us on probation earlier in the week. Now we have this opening, by the way, to get rid of him, and it's not going to cost us.
I know.
Not that I don't think they'll do that, but there's just like a lot of things swirling today on USC side. If they don't come out and play well, and Maeva, who they made the quarterback change, he doesn't play well right away, and Nebraska is like up 7-0. And there's all those Nebraska fans. You're like, wow, could Nebraska really screw with USC today? So I think the first quarter is pretty important. A good start for Nebraska. And it's important also that Nebraska has the best quarterback on the field today.
Gary, offensively, is there a player or players, are there players who have played a lot this year that maybe now won't if Dana is going to slim things down a little bit? And then vice versa. Are there guys that haven't played a ton that maybe you will see play quite a bit? What do you think happens personnel-wise?
Boy, I don't know if he makes that huge of a change, but I think you could see some of the younger guys like a Jalen Lloyd might be featured a little bit more, or a Thomas Fidone is used in a different capacity.
Yeah, hopefully horizontally.
Yes.
My God.
They need to put him in a better spot. And Holgerson, throughout his history, has found a way, as the tight end has evolved, to use the tight end in those situations. It comes down to execution today.
Yeah.
Nebraska's got to make plays. Nebraska's got to go play, and they got to make plays. And if they do that, they're going to be in the game. But if they have the same stuff where it was hard to find what they did well against UCLA, they're going to get what they deserve. But I think they will play well today. I just don't know between the ears where USC is at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You making that quarterback move, it does make you wonder about locker room. It does make you wonder about division after they've been, losing at Maryland and things like that. I'm sure
they've been through the ringer. They're probably over it. They're ready for December.
Well, and you know what? Okay, so here's a great question, guys. You get to the fourth quarter of this game today. Who do you have more faith is going to be able to pull it out, Nebraska or USC? And you're judging on past history of Nebraska and current season of USC and their troubles in the fourth quarter.
Just by law of averages, you'd have to go with Nebraska, right? Because they're won for their last 31. Literally. Yeah, I mean, seriously, when either down or tied with the ball late, they're like 1-30 or something, So just simple like math and probability and all that.
No Ramir today on the availability report that's out. Our old buddy BC is tweeting that out.
Well, there goes the dump off. Which he's pretty good at. There goes the wheel route.
This might be a day that Dante Dowdell runs the ball 15 to 20 times.
Or Emmett. I'm still not giving up on Emmett.
It's not giving up on Emmett, but I think Nebraska, another key today is they got to stay on the field.
Yeah.
Hey, can we just go Emmett and Dowdell today? Like, is that we just slim it down to those two instead of 3 or 4 backs, whatever Nebraska's been doing? Just those two.
You'll see a better rotation.
By the way, you think all of a sudden Gabe Ervin's going to show up?
Which is so crazy, by the way. You have seen Gabe Ervin in person, right? He looks like Herschel Walker in person. The guy is just a monster. And you're like, he can't get it done at the D1 level? Oh my God. My God.
Yeah,
the guy is crazy.
I think I think this game should be getting more run nationally because it's fascinating. For two teams that are combined 9-9, you have no idea what's going to happen. Nebraska brought a guy up the street to call plays. USC made a quarterback change. I mean, it's a great helmet game. There's a ton of Nebraska fans out there. The weather looks fantastic. I think Nebraska's down to 2 chances to make a bowl game this week and next week.
Yep.
Because you're ruling out Iowa.
If they go to Iowa City, Mark, and they're on 5 and they're playing a night game, do you have any faith whatsoever Nebraska would go to Iowa City and become bowl eligible?
I do, because the last time they went to Iowa City, some of us were broadcasting across from Kinnick, and it worked out okay. We'll be doing that again.
Okay.
Trey Palmer abused Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
Busted. Yeah.
Sharpie, best to you. Safe travels. Thank you much.
Guys, enjoy the game. We'll chat tomorrow.
Sounds good, bud. Appreciate you. Wow, Kranak.
Wow, Kranak.
I am not a crook. I love it. There he goes, the Iron Horse. Quick timeout. More Hail Varsity Weekend here on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Goes the Iron Horse. Quick timeout. More.
Hey, this is Dan Bongino. As a former NYPD police officer, Secret Service agent, and a TV host, I'll bring Nebraska an honest perspective on the day's events. I'll debunk the nonsense you hear in the media and give you the real insight on what's really going on. Join me, Dan Bongino, weekdays from 11 to 2 on FM 101.5 and 1240 AM KFOR.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
It takes hard work to make Nebraska the right place to raise a family, build a business, or grow a community. We're counting on working parents to make it happen, and they're counting on childcare professionals to have their backs. Employers and other contributors can earn up to a $100,000 tax credit for strengthening childcare in our communities and state. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You've got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
My father-in-law and my dad had both used handyman over the years. My husband was like, I can remember when I was a little kid, his dad had to pick up some parts and he was standing there and a man came in with a random something and he was describing this part that they needed. They're like, yep, we've got it, and went over and he brought it back and showed me. He's like, yeah, that's exactly the piece I need. We've experienced like always great attention, great care, great kindness, interest in you as a person and your project. We've replaced toilets, toilets and water heaters and water softeners. And he comes in, he'll say to them, this is what I'm looking at. He'll take him back to wherever it is. He looks at the different things. And then when you leave, you have every part you need. It's always been there. They're super handy. They know their information. They know their products. That is priceless.
Handyman Home Remodeling Center. For the very best in bathrooms, come to Handyman under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with your weekend editions here at Hail Varsity. It's streaming and on air. KFOR, KFORnow.com, Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Twitter, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter, and of course Facebook and Twitter for KFOR. Gray Woman 79, good to have you in, checking out the pregame. And she is not wrong. Don't go to Iowa City needing that win, but we'll be there anyway for a Friday, Black Friday digital show.
You going for sure? You're going for sure?
I'm in. And then we'll do Real Red Reaction across from Kinnick at that Marriott top floor.
You got hotel lined up already and everything?
I do. Thursday, Friday. You rolling with?
I don't know. Let's chat about it.
All right.
Chat about it.
By
the way, it's good to be on with Justice. I don't know if I've been on with Justice before.
Justice is 6'9" and very, very good dude, super talented broadcaster at Nebraska.
Yeah.
And he is also who we send out to hammer your guy going to the rim. All right. If we were to play the Hail Varsity Pickup Basketball League, Justice is the enforcer. But are you how are your hands, Justice, in the paint? Are you a big guy that can score, or are you a big guy that just bruises?
You're gonna hate me for this. I didn't play center in high school.
Would you play?
Well, no.
I was a point guard in high school, like legit.
What? Okay.
So you're a point forward?
Yeah, like no, I was like legit a guard. Like I have
I bet.
Yeah, no, I have like a pretty good handle. Yeah.
So did you hit a growth spurt a la Jokic?
So I was starting out in high school. I was 5'11" as a freshman. Mm-hmm. Then I grew later. I got up to probably 6'3" my sophomore year, and I just kind of kept growing from that, and then hit another growth spurt in college.
Grenak and I never found 5'11".
What you got on my fadeaway though, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you got on that?
I played pickup ball one time at the apartment complex, and it lasted 3 minutes. It was like the scene from The Office, because he would just back me down, jab me, and then just score. And I was like, I'm done, dude. I'm going to go grab my inhaler and I'm going to crack a beer. Yeah. That's how that went.
Yeah. Grenak, I'm sure the jump shot's butter off the fadeaway. I'm sure it is.
Well, good. As
15
long as you know
years
that.
ago.
As long as exactly. Now I don't leave the ground because I'll tear my meniscus if I do.
Don't come near the rim or I'm going to put you off.
And also, your voice. Why isn't Justice like the voice of all radio stations too? Like he could be.
He's working on that. He'll be ready to go.
No, but I mean like the imaging guy, the one that's like 92.4.
Yeah.
And then it could but then you could introduce your own show. That's
I'm in the Chris Schmidt development program right now. We're working on fine tuning the skills.
He'll be good. The Chris Schmidt tree branches out pretty far. It's not bad. I mean, Vegas,
Charles checks in the ginger snatching souls on the hardwood. That is a good fantasy football team name. So let's try and predict the unpredictable. I love what Rule the Day is checked in on. And if you want to be part of the stream, you're invited. Hail Varsity YouTube can interact with Nebraska fans. Twitter also, and 489-1240 as you hear us on KFOR. But Rule of the Day says it's so unpredictable. Will we be in a good mood or bad mood at 6:30 with Real Red Reaction? Here's what I think. I think Nebraska fans will be in a better mood because I think Nebraska will play well. I can't tell you that they're going to win. And you want to win because you're sick of being so close. But I don't anticipate it going like Indiana where they dropped the nuke on you. And is what could have been with Ohio State that I thought there was a little bit of, well, hey, they played their butt off and they were right there. It sucks to lose if you're a Nebraska fan, but it's better than getting demolished 2 weeks in a row on national TV with 9 million people watching you. So I think this game is supposed to be, wow. I mean, it's supposed to be the game of the college football weekend. To be honest with you, when you look at the brands, you look at the matchup, you look at the time slot, you look at what the history, and you got to be in the living, you got to be in the now, not in what the was, not in the was. And both these programs are in the was right now, trying to get back to some relevancy, and they're working on it. And Matt Rule pushed a button, said, I got to be better on offense. I got a stud quarterback that I can't. We worked hard to get him. Let's not tick him off and watch him go somewhere else and kill it. Right. I had to make a move, and good for Matt Rule doing that. You got a defense that needs help, as good as they've been. And USC, I mean, we're talking 10 years, $90 million for Lincoln Riley. I think that's the number, with Heisman winners and all sorts of talent. Yeah. SC should be cranking out 9 wins a year, and they've screwed it up with hires and personnel. And it's a what's supposed to be bowl game today. And I mean, Cranack, you and I remember 06, 07, Nebraska USC. That's your measuring stick in the Pete Carroll era.
Yeah.
Right
and
now,
they belong on the field. Like
no,
they shouldn't have even shared the same field.
No,
and entirely different planets of.
Yes.
Of
and we fast forward to now, both these teams are on the same planet with what the heck's going on. You look at the resources, the building, the glean that Nebraska has associated with their program. You've got a guy in Rule that knows how to build and is super organized. Nebraska needs to get back to having better talent, right? And there's some young guys in the pipeline that maybe they'll have some elite guys step forward. They need to go get more freshmen that can help out at skill spots. You've seen that this season a little bit with Dylan and Barney. But SC's just been so underwhelming with their in reference to their talent.
Yeah, listen, talent, of course. I think that is something that Nebraska needs to. You're constantly looking to improve that. But I keep going back to the Indiana game, and the word that just keeps coming to my mind as you look at Nebraska's offense this year is just decisiveness, right? When the contrasts between Nebraska and Indiana were so clear that day, right? Of just Indiana knew without a doubt, and they were not questioning, and they knew how to execute everything they called. They believed in all of it. They were decisive in all of it. They weren't holding the ball a ton. Like the level of execution was excellent. And for as much as talent is a part of the discussion, it kind of doesn't matter until you have that. And it has been a while since Nebraska has just been excellent, right? Like excelled at pass, run blocking as a receiver, for instance, right? That's just one example where it's like, no. When you are blocked, you do this, and you make sure you have this kind of leverage, and you deliver this kind of blow, and you drive your feet or whatever it is. They were just excellent at it in Nebraska's heyday. And you were able to do that without necessarily top shelf talent everywhere. But since you were able to be excellent and win a lot, you started to attract more of that talent. Mm-hmm. And when you added talent to that mix, show's over. Like it's over, because now you have a team that executes really well and has dudes that run 4 threes or bench press 400 pounds 50 times at 200 pounds, right? Like, so I just think it's that is what has been missing for me, is just decisiveness, right? Raiola, when pressure comes, he should know, and there should be something built into the play. Here's where my hot route is, get it out.
You saw it briefly against Ohio State for that would have been touchdown that got overturned. So you saw that adjustment, but you haven't seen it at all since the second half of the Illinois game. I mean, think about how they started, think about where they're at, and think about what has been floundering. I mean, it's not been 4 quarters of football. We've screamed this all season, and they are a shadow of what they need to be on offense. What I do like, and I have faith in, is you've got a really good defensive coordinator that doesn't know it all, but okay, if they get staggered a little bit, look at UCLA, it's 20-7. Then the bleeding stopped, aside from the pick six, which wasn't on the defense. The defense is able to adjust and stop the bleeding. Okay. On the offensive side of the football, it has been a nightmare. And they have not had Big Ten level coaches on that side of the football, beginning with your coordinator. And you're getting worked. You have got to be even or better talent-wise with dudes on Saturdays. But you've got to be able to put a game plan together for these guys to just go outfox somebody. And when you have a combination of deficient talent in some spots and deficient coaching, that's why you've been through this ringer in November, as you're just inches from the finish line of getting bowl eligible. Your head coach is good and organized. Your D coordinator's good. And then your defensive side of the ball has been really pretty good. Good enough to be a 7, 8, 9 win football team. But your offense has been holding you back. And despite all of it, you've killed it on the recruiting trail. So, I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah, listen, it's the sum does not equal the parts. I believe that Nebraska's talent it's upper half in the Big Ten. Upper half. I'm not saying it's elite. It's not Ohio State. It's not Penn State. It's not USC. It's not Michigan. Right? You put those for Oregon, of course. Put those kind of five in their own little category. Right? But then beyond that, Nebraska's right there. Nebraska's right. Like, would you say Iowa is more talented? Would you say Wisconsin is more talented? Would you say Indiana? I
like Iowa's back, and I like their defense. From a,
more talented though, or just more decisive and better coached.
I think they're just better they're better coached with comparable talent.
It's just, listen, if it's hey, let's take the combined 40-yard dash times of all the receivers and all the backs and all the linebackers, and let's do broad jump contests and bench press contests,
but it's not translating the wins on Saturday.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is, like, raw talent, Nebraska's fine there. Nebraska is fine with their raw talent. They're not elite. They're not Ohio State. They're not Bama. They're not Georgia. I'm not saying that. So you could always improve it. But you you are absolutely talented enough to perform better than they have, right? Dylan Raiola, in terms of pure talent, who do you want to take over him? Maybe Gabriel? That's about it.
It's in
terms of just
Gabriel's he's the finished product after 37 years of college.
Well,
like an ARP.
Yeah, but it's not a talent issue. Isaiah Nair is very talented player. Emmett Johnson is very talented player. For some reason, the running backs act like each carry is like the last time they're going to get the ball.
Because they'll pressing. Run for 15 yards on 2 carries, and then they'll go gather dust on the bench. I don't get the rotation.
They're both pressing. They're both pressing. It does not look like a group. It does not look like they don't look comfortable as backs. Right? They're
going to go into exile because this is my chance. I better force it and I better give them a reason to keep me in.
That's what I want to see today. And it was in the stream. I believe it was Gray Lady that put it in there, of just looking crisp, right? Get the ball, right? You got pressure up the middle, get it to your hot route, throw it away, do what you got to do, right? If you're a receiver running a route, like, make it a crisp route. If it's a run play and you're a receiver, like, get underneath your dude, drive your legs and block him out of the way, right? Like, look sharp. And Nebraska has just looked so uncertain, so indecisive, and therefore ineffective that you start to think they have no talent. That's not the case, right? It's just their heads all over the place. The connection, the coordination between the coordinator and the team is completely broken. right? So you just have a lot of folks wandering on the field kind of aimlessly and not necessarily believing in what's going on. And most of Nebraska's best plays this year have been broken plays. Broken plays. It's Dylan maybe eluding a rush, finding Barney across the field that has broken off his route 7 seconds after the snap. That's where Nebraska's getting big plays. Give me some in-system. First of all, have a system. Like, what is the system? I don't know. It's kind of like just football, whatever. A lot of different plays. Have a system. Have the stuff have the plays build off one another. Have complementary plays. Make things happen quickly, decisively, and then just keep coming. That's what Indiana is. That's what Nebraska used to be. It's exactly what Nebraska used to be. It was about decisiveness. It was about precision. It was about excellence. Then you layer in a Lawrence Phillips or a Tommy Frazier into that, and see ya. It's game over.
You've got your maulers on the lines of scrimmage. You're stacked with NFL draft picks that replace NFL draft picks on defense, and then you go get your dude from Florida or California, and away you go. We'll go back out to California and get a on-the-scene report, weekend edition, Hail Varsity Radio here on KFOR, KFORnow.com.
Elijah Hurdle, you have life check-in.
You have made it. You've made it to the Coliseum. Can watch this Hail Varsity YouTube.
Nice.
Is the video portion, and also Twitter on KFOR. So the USC band is trying to drown you out. Is that what's happening, or are you just at a tailgate?
No, the USC band is over playing as they're marching their way into the stadium. I hope that is being drowned out by me now talking.
It is.
It's better.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, I found a quiet spot here in a tailgate. I was nervous about the tailgating scene out here. Fantastic. Everywhere you walk, there's all these like hot dog carts with bacon wrapped hot dogs and beautiful sauteed onions and green peppers on there. They smell incredible. Everyone's selling beers out of coolers out here. Made it to the tailgate. Incredible number of beers, incredible food spread. And the Husker fans have showed up here in full force. I would put
20,000
from what I've seen. I'd say 60% USC fans, 40% Nebraska fans.
Are you in the stands today, or are you in the box?
I'm with the people. I'm in the stands today.
Nice. End zone?
Yeah.
Corner end zone?
We are second level right above the USC student section. So kind of broadside. I think we're on the side opposite the TV camera. So if you see me on TV, let me know.
Take high resolution photos of that student section. There's probably a minimum of 27 future Hollywood stars in that crowd, and it could be compromising later. You could get paid by TMZ. Just a thought.
It might also be creepy to be just training my phone to the
but you already got the mustache, so might as well live out the
dude, just high res. Just take a shot, and then later you can zoom in Where's Waldo style and find all the future stars and make a ton of money. Use AI to do some face identification. It'd be great.
So our dear friend Seth just emailed in. Seth, of course, from Lazari's and the bar. You have been challenged with shotgunning a beer live on air.
Yeah, I'm calling over. I'm calling over my buddy Darren. He's got those Trulies. Oh, I don't want Trulies. I want a beer.
Yeah, no. You don't get a Truly.
Yeah, no. Go walk.
Chug that.
Walk and talk, Elijah. Walk and talk. KFOR, KFORnow.com. We're on the airwaves. So,
Elijah, did you bring sunscreen? Elijah, you got sunscreen? We're worried about you.
Is this part of your Elijah, or is this just a Nebraska fan that wandered up to you on the street with a giant corn head?
This is my roommate Darren. He made the trip out here. So,
Darren, how are you, dude?
Took up half my storage space.
Yeah. Okay. Darren, I like there's a big ginger contingent.
It is a ginger,
show, right? Like it is like gingers unite, man. We
just
got
the way God intended. It's nice to have you on board.
Yeah, we got the leprechaun beard, we got the curly locks with Justice, we got the old guy Rogaine former ginger stuff going on. It's great. Irish fans unite. This is fantastic.
Can you find a beer, Elijah, to shotgun?
Yeah, Darren, would you be able to find me a beer to shotgun?
Yeah, if it goes over there, we can go grab one. Otherwise, there's Trulies on
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate that. By the way.
Yeah. This is This is the kind of radio. This is the kind of radio we're after. And for folks that are just listening on the radio and have not seen in the stream, Elijah on scene. Elijah is trying to source a beer. Elijah to shotgun.
We're gonna take a timeout as we wind it down for the pregame edition, the weekend edition. Elijah will find a beer. We will get you ready with some predictions. Nebraska-USC Hail Varsity weekend on KFOR.
Hi, this is Michaela Kumke from the Food Bank of Lincoln. Right here in southeast Nebraska, 1 in 7 people are facing hunger. As you are shopping today, please consider grabbing an extra item to donate to the Food Bank of Lincoln. Our donation barrels are located near the front entrance of the store. Or make your donation go even further with a cash gift. Look for our checkout hunger coupons at check stands to add a donation to your purchase. When you give meals, you gift joy. Thank you, and best wishes for the season.
You have important reasons to stay healthy. Your family, your work, your favorite hobbies. If you have prediabetes, you can make healthy changes and prevent type 2 diabetes. Search doihaveprediabetes.org and a trained lifestyle coach will help you and a group of people like you learn how to lose weight, become more physically active, and reduce stress. It works. Find out how to enroll at doihaveprediabetes.org. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
James talks about his experience with 3-day kitchen and bath.
My wife and I had been talking for several years about getting our kitchen and bathroom remodeled. We'd had some bids actually been made. The thing that always put us off was that they were talking about 2 or 3 months to get all this work done. We heard about 3-day bath and kitchen. We thought that we'd give it a try. They spent 3 days on one of our items and 4 days on another, and the cost was about the same thing as all the people gave us 3-month estimates for. They went out of their way to make sure that we were satisfied with everything when the job was finished. There's simply no question about the idea that they want satisfied customers and they want people who are pleased with their work.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-day kitchen and bath.
Hard to believe the holiday season is almost here. Hi, Steve Carper at O Street Carpet. Time to spiff up the guest room or kitchen with a beautiful wood floor. At O Street, you'll find the best selection in solid woods, hand scrapes, everything. Free in-home measuring, professional installation, and with our 12-month interest-free financing, you won't have to tap into your holiday budget. Stop in. Let's get your home holiday ready. We're O Street Carpet, locally owned, family owned, always the best values.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Does it seem like your clothes dryer doesn't dry like it used to? It may not be your dryer. It may be your dryer vent. When the vent becomes obstructed, it drastically reduces the efficiency of your dryer. Even worse, it can be a fire hazard. Here's the simple solution. Call Bryant. Bryant will thoroughly clean the vent and show you the before and after results. Call 467-1111.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Winding down the weekend edition. It's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt and Mark Kranak and Elijah Herbal out in Los Angeles on site, on assignment for Nebraska USC. Real Red Reaction follows 6:30. We'll figure out the mood of Nebraska fan after USC Nebraska. We're streaming live. Elijah has secured a beer to shotgun
I have.
on video. Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter, Hail
Do we
Varsity.
really have? I really feel like this lowers my
KFOR,
professionalism
Facebook,
level
and
just
Twitter.
slightly, right?
What now?
Does this lower my professionalism level? Shotgun.
No, I mean it's a
No,
little,
it gives you
it's a little-
cred, bro.
It's a little
Cred.
gimmicky, but it's okay
A
because
little gimmicky.
well, you're out there as you're on assignment. You're doing a show. I mean, you've been working.
That's the
But it's not
problem.
it's not like you're in the press box today.
Yeah,
You're on-
exactly.
True.
It's
You are
expected,
able-
actually. Like, it
Yeah.
shows that you're one of us, right? So you got a
Okay.
Pacifico, yellow
Yeah.
can. Elijah has no sunscreen. Elijah on the reaction show at the, I don't know. He'd probably be hallucinating by then. If he's starting with a Pacifico and it's just not even noon and he has no sunscreen, you're going to be an absolute mess by the end of this thing, man. Please get.
He'll be of sound mind and body by 6:30 Central tonight.
He won't. No, he
They
won't.
look like Larry the Lobster.
Yeah, exactly. He is starting his downward descent starts in mere moments here, right? Like
I am wearing long sleeves and pants. I will be just fine, I think.
I don't know if you noticed you have a head.
About a red-faced man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great that your arms aren't going to get burnt, but what about your face, which contains your brain?
Let's quit jacking around here with the false start of promising the people Elijah shotgunning a beer. Are you ready to go? Okay, there he is. Elijah has cracked the beer.
Yep.
Elijah is putting his phone down. Elijah will now shotgun a beer with Husker fans. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's count. 1.
Okay, you hear
2,
the crack.
3, 4, 5. 5 seconds. Elijah's done.
That is.
He poured out about 2 ounces. He got 10 ounces down.
I gave it a go.
No, you did well.
Thank you.
I have never shotgunned a beer in my life.
Have you not?
Never. A beer
Did you not
bong.
go to college?
I've never shotgunned. Yeah, I went to college.
Yeah.
You know,
shout out to my brother.
I do not make a career out of that. I'm not a huge shotgunning beers fan.
No,
I did
you enjoy the suds.
That is one and the only beer I'll shotgun today.
Shout out to my older brother, by the way, who had a beer bong made out of the pink yard flamingos.
Oh, yeah.
Cut out the mouth, right?
That's tremendous.
Let's get some predictions here as we wind it down. Kraynak, what happens?
Really fast. I don't have a view of the comments section. How'd they rate the performance there?
Thumbs up right now. Mike says yes. Another Mike says all Elijah needs right now is a cool wave and a tasty buzz. A little Fast Times at Ridgemont High tribute there from Mike. Brennan from the Black Hills says I once beer bonged a 30 rack of Keystone throughout a night. I remember
8 out of
nothing.
10. 8 out of 10 says 3-putt. Elijah, you get an 8 out of 10.
Gray Woman wants predictions. Captain
Wood
says you're professional.
Yeah.
So let's get our predictions in. I'm going to stick with USC 27, Nebraska 21. I think Nebraska ends the drought next week against Wisconsin. That's assuming Wisconsin gets beaten like a rented mule tonight by Oregon. But I think Nebraska's better, but not quite ready. Same story, second verse.
Yeah.
Kraynak?
I got USC 31, Nebraska 17. I think USC catches them early, and I think we'll again catch them late as Nebraska's defense wears down. But signs of life on offense, just not necessarily the production you want.
Mm-hmm. Elijah, you are amongst the Big Red Nation. The Big Red Army has traveled out to La La Land. Scroll back to your left on the YouTube channel, Hail Varsity YouTube. Is that the stadium behind you? What is that? A parking lot?
This is the where is that?
Commons?
This is the stadium here.
No.
Okay.
That's the stadium. Over here we have a really cool modern art building.
Okay, allegedly.
I believe this behind me is the Museum of Natural History.
Huh.
Okay.
And then over here we have the California Science Center right above me. So
Gotcha.
really cool campus. I will say there's a beautiful garden off to my left here, kind of outside the stadium.
Oh my goodness.
It's beautiful. It's green. I wish I would have gone to college here. Just kidding.
Give me the Sheldon and Morrill. I don't want that crap.
Give me Archie any day.
Yeah. Special K statue. Top that.
Sushi and Art Campus. So well played. So what's the score? You still sticking with Nebraska after your 24-hour interaction with Big Red Nation?
I still think we all saw probably by now the dust up at midfield. I think that gives Nebraska's defense some energy, some life, a reason to play with their hair on fire. Again, if Nebraska, the defense doesn't come to play early, you'll know it's not going to be close. I think it could be a 2-touchdown game if USC has a good first quarter offensively. If Nebraska gets some things going defensively in the first quarter, they get a couple stops. I think it gives their offense a little bit of runway. I think there's just enough confidence with the things that have been changed that it would lead to a Nebraska victory. So I'm sticking with the fact that Nebraska's defense comes to play. Because of that, give me Nebraska 24, USC 17.
Okay, 24-17.
Pacifico's already affecting them. How about that?
I picked that yesterday. I picked that yesterday too. So
we don't know what you did before the show. He was gone for 5 seconds. Everybody wondered what happened. There we go. Elijah, enjoy it today, but I'm serious. Get
Elijah,
some sunscreen, man. I'm serious.
Keep on rocking, brother. Thank you
wait.
I'm very worried about this.
What is Justice? Thoughts on the
I didn't know if you needed to scamper in. I was going to get Justice's pick here in a minute. You're good? Okay, you're good. Okay. Justice, what do you say?
I went a little overboard on the scoring yesterday. I'll be the first to admit that.
You said 38 points.
Yeah, I was drinking the Roulade.
Who, Nebraska?
Yeah, my head spiked. We don't know. I was drinking the Roulade, but after further thought, I think the Huskers have just enough energy to pull this one out. I think it's time that USC had some hardship go their way. They doink an extra point to lose it. Give me Nebraska 28, USC 27.
I still think anything beyond 21, you need it, but I don't think you'll get it. As much as I like Dana coming in, I think it's too soon to get 21. And I think it's a tough ask to get.
They could get a defensive touchdown.
That's true. You got to keep USC in the low 20s. Ideally, 30 is the winner. It just is. You score 30 in the Big Ten, you win the football game. And Nebraska's done that once.
That's changing today.
And 24, the 31 against Purdue is the old blocked field goal return. You scored 24 points on offense 3 times. You got to hold them to 14. That's reality. So Nebraska's a step closer, but not a game better in the win column after. So find out what we think. We want to hear what you think and be a part of Real Red Reaction. 6:30 KFOR, KFORnow.com. Hail Varsity and KFOR Facebook and Twitter is where you can watch and stream the show, the post game as well. Appreciate it much. Cranack, real quick closing thought. Elijah, thank you for your work, brother.
Little X factor today. Don't forget Sierra Wright, former Trojan. He knows the ins and outs of their personnel and what they like to do offensively. Could come in handy.
Yep, that is all good. Elijah, get another Pacifico. Get after
I don't know about
Cowboy.
that. I don't know about that. I got to be ready for post-game show.
All right, there he is, Elijah Herbal, live in L.A. outside the Coliseum. Mark Cranack, appreciate you. Justice, thank you much.
God.
And subscribe, Hail Varsity YouTube. Back at you at 6:30 with Real Red Reaction on KFOR.
Can we just continue on the digital show here? I think